Welcome into Buffalo Sports Insider. Join with me for the Bills segment. We got Nate Palmer, Caleb Abula, and Michelle Morocco to talk about the Bills. And then in later segments, we will be talking about the NFL, some basketball, and the Sabres. But first, we're going to start out with the Bills. They just had an exciting 30-27 win over the Miami Dolphins, where Tyler Bass kicked a 61-yard field goal with 10 seconds left to basically win the game for the Bills. Caleb, has this kick redeemed himself as he has struggled in recent memory?
I think he redeemed himself more than anything in his own head. I think this is a huge confidence builder for him. As far as it goes for me and the other fans, I think it's a little bit on the fence, but I was never a real big Tyler Bass hater per se. I understood some of the issues, and he's not a great kicker, but he just seemed better than any of the other free agent options. But I do think he's redeemed for the most part. But for the biggest part, I think he's redeemed himself in his own mind, and he can build up confidence from this to continue to hit high leverage kicks in the future.
Yes, and then obviously we scored 30 points, which is a lot. Josh Allen had himself a good game. He had 3 touchdowns, a pick that wasn't really his fault. That could have been a touchdown if caught. He also had a touchdown called back to a bogus holding penalty, and this was all without Amari Cooper, who was sidelined for the game. Michelle, what did you think about this offense?
So I did okay. Josh Allen had 235 yards total, with the 3 touchdowns that you said. Ray Davis led us through the air game, and he had 70 yards altogether. And James Cook had 44 yards on the ground. I think he had 7 or 10 carries. I can't remember exactly. But we stayed moving the ball downfield. I think we needed to keep consistent. Josh Allen was finding his targets. There was that one interception that could have been easily a touchdown, but we redeemed ourselves, I think.
Yes, and then allowing 27 points isn't the greatest, especially the Dolphins were mostly able to just move the ball up and down on us. They were really going to on pace to take charge in the second half before Taron Johnson with a beautiful peanut punch strip tackle that popped the ball out from Raheem Mostert. We recovered and went down and scored a touchdown to take the lead. But Nate, what exactly about this defense concerned you?
Man, the glaring weakness on the Bills defense is the run defense, obviously, man. The loss of Smoot and Dwayne Carter, my man Little Wayne, definitely hurt. The Dolphins got some chunk yards in there, 4.8 yards a carry, and they ran for a $150 against the Bills. So they got to shore that up, man.
Yeah, and then the Bills did just recently sign 2 key tackles returning from the previous stints on the Bills, and Jordan Phillips and Quentin Jefferson. Hopefully they can help with this run defense struggle. Hopefully just people getting healthy will be a big key to that too. Moving on, we do take on the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis on Sunday at 1 o'clock. The Bills practice report was just dropped for today, where Keon Coleman was the only one who didn't practice, and then Amari Cooper, Keir Elam, Reggie Gilliam, and Curtis Samuel all limited with their injuries. And then with Keon not practicing and Amari not playing last game and being limited and Dwayne Carter being on IR, some of these injuries are starting to pile back up for the Bills. Caleb, do these injuries concern you at all?
Not for next week, at least. Quite frankly, I'm pretty sure one of us could go out there against the Colts and run some decent routes and get some yards. They have the worst secondary in all football, arguably. They've been awful. And the only guy of significance we're going to be missing this week that I don't think his production can be replaced is Keon Coleman. Luckily, like I said, Colts secondary, not good. So as far as just this week, no. Long term, a little bit. The defensive interior, we also have Quentin Jefferson and Jordan Phillips slot in with Dwayne Carter and Smoot being on IR. But as far as everybody else, I feel pretty decent about, except maybe Keon might miss 2 weeks. But even that, I'm not super concerned about. It's not like he is, an elite wide receiver 1 right now that are missing out on.
Yes, and then as you mentioned, the Colts do not have a great secondary. They don't have a great defense overall. Michelle, what do you want to see out of the offense next week against the Colts?
So the offense, I want to see them keep that pressure that we had, keep the scoring high. Josh needs to find his targets like he did last week and just keep the intensity high the whole game. When we score more, we're in the game. We keep it more consistent that way. Jonathan Taylor's hurt on their team, so I think that's going to do us well. But, yeah, we need to keep that pressure.
Yes, and then on the Colts side of things, their offense has been inconsistent throughout. They've been going through quarterback controversy with Joe Flacco overtaking Anthony Richardson. Didn't look great that last week, but they do have a good offensive line and they do have a good run game, which the Bills' defensive line historically has struggled against. So, Nate, what do you want to see out of the defense in this game?
I'm going to be looking at the interior to see how the line is getting off, to see if the addition to Jordan Phillips and Jefferson gives us a boost. It's going to be about penetration against Flacco. We all know how hot and streaky he can get. If the Bills could get to him early and shut down that running game, should be a cakewalk for the Bills.
And then, Caleb, what is your score prediction for the game and who is an X factor?
I think the score is going to be 34-10. I think it's going to be a really just nasty game. You're going to see Benford and Rasul get an interception, one of the two of them, and some really good defense. I think the X factor of the game is going to be Terrell Bernard, to see how he's plugging those gaps in the run game and see if he can really help shut down that run game. He hasn't been great against the run either, quite frankly.
Michelle, what is your score prediction in X factor?
My score prediction is similar to Caleb's. Mine's going to be 30-14. The Bills, my X factor player is definitely Ray Davis. He's been leading the points for us through the air game. So, yeah.
And then, Nate, what is
Score prediction?
My X factor will be Davis, the backup running back. I think he provides a spark for the offense every time he gets the ball. Man, good things happen. I like the Bills in a runaway here. I'm gonna say 27-13.
I'm going to go with 27-17, and my X factor is not just one person. It's the interior defensive line. Let's see how they can handle against like this strong Colts offensive line if they can shut down Jonathan Taylor and company in the running game. Moving on to our next segment, though, we have Colin to join us to talk about the NFL.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're going to take care of you, okay? Ready?
1, 2, 3. Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. I'm Colin Ritchie, hosting the NFL segment once again today. I'm joined by my boys Spike, Sebastian, and London. Guys, we just had the trade deadline pass yesterday, and there were a lot of teams making moves at the deadline. Maybe the biggest name on the move is Marshawn Lattimore. Spike, can you talk us through the trade details between the Saints and Commanders and what you think of that trade?
The Saints received the 3rd, a 4th, and a 6th-round pick and sent Lattimore over to the Commanders for a 5th. To send them a 5th-round pick as well. I believe this goes great for the Commanders. They have a struggling defense, but they're still winning football games amid that Bears game where it was a very low-scoring one. Outside of that, most teams are putting up 20+, and they're competing for a spot not only in the playoffs, but to win that division of theirs over in the NFC East. I think this is a great move for them. Grade-wise, I would give them an A-, really only because Lattimore is not old, but a bit older. They're not going to get him for as many years unless he stakes it out with them for a long stint. For the Saints, they're 2-7. They just fired their head coach. There's not a lot to build on as of right now, not a lot of youth on that team. So getting some value for a guy who probably could have forced his way out for a lot less in the offseason, it gives them good value, but still more of a B- there for them. Not terrible, still gets good value out of them. But trying to keep a guy like that could have been a priority, but I still understand from their viewpoint because it looks like they're looking to do a rebuild real soon.
Now, Sebastian, you're our resident Steelers fan, and they were a little late to the wide receiver party. We saw Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Deontay Johnson, all on the move in the past couple weeks. The Steelers end up with Mike Williams from the Jets. What do you feel about that trade, and can you walk us through the details?
Yeah. So Mike Williams from the Jets being traded to Pittsburgh for a 2025 5th-rounder pick. Overall, it's a smart move for the Steelers since they are in need of a veteran receiver on their roster, and it also adds depth. He'll also be a big target for Russell Wilson, and he could be a key player that Steelers can be great that they are missing. On the other hand, it was a smart move for the Jets because they needed to get rid of him. Look for what he was doing with them, but definitely not the best move at the moment since the receiving core is a little weak right now. So he definitely would have been used. Overall, for the Steelers, give it around the B. For the Jets, I give it around a B+.
Not the only move the Steelers made either. They traded for Preston Smith, the pass rusher from the Packers, only gave up a 7th-round pick in return. So adding to the offense and the defense, the Steelers making moves trying to stay competitive in the AFC. London, the Rams traded away Tre'Davious White. I know a player that Bills fans here know very well. He gets traded to the Ravens, though, something I'm sure Bills fans didn't want to see. Can you walk us through the details on that?
They traded Tre'Davious White in a 7th-round 2027 pick for a 2026 7th-round pick. I don't really like this trade for the Rams, but in a way, I feel like this trade is kind of for Tre'Davious White. In a way, you're not playing. Last year, you had the season injury with the ACL. And the Ravens get a little help on the backfield, seeming that I think they were trying to get Marshawn Lattimore and they couldn't get him, so you needed an alternative. I give the Rams a D for this trade. You didn't really get anything back, but also I give the Ravens a C+. You know, Tre'Davious White is he's getting a little older, but he could probably still go out there and do a little couple of things to help out this team in a veteran way, if you know what I mean.
There are a lot of other players on the move too, including the Browns trading Zadarius Smith to the Lions, the Bears trading Khalil Herbert to the Bengals, and the Panthers trading Jonathan Mingo to the Cowboys. On to week 10 now. We've got some more exciting games on the docket this weekend, starting with Thursday Night Football, London, the Bengals and the Ravens, two big AFC North opponents.
You know, these teams always put up a great game when they play each other. But as I seen, Lamar isn't healthy. I seen he hasn't played, in practice for the past couple of days. But I did see that he said he will be ready to go tomorrow. So this is another game I feel where Joe Burrow is gonna have to be perfect. Like we seen last game, it was 41-38. And this Bengals defense is just gonna have to be perfect, I feel, in a way. I think this is a must-win game for the Bengals, though. I mean, you don't want to fall to 4-7 if they lose this game, or 4-6. But this Bengals defense is definitely gonna have to contain this Ravens offense if they want to win this game.
Now, Sebastian, we mentioned the Steelers a little bit ago. They have a tough matchup against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders on Sunday. What are you looking forward to in that game?
So with an explosive offense like the Commanders have, they pretty much defeated a majority of their opponents this season. Team is now finally a potential NFL championship contender thanks to their rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, and his skills, and much improved that their defense have begun. On the other hand, you have the Steelers, who have pretty much depended on an impressive defense pretty much for the majority of this season, and only recently been beginning to be build on their quarterback, Russell Wilson. And with Mike Williams being there, these teams are essentially competing at their best against one another, and which can honestly result in a great battle. But I could definitely see the Commanders coming out on top this week.
It'll be interesting to see if any of those new pieces, either Mike Williams or Preston Smith or Marshawn Lattimore, play a role in that game. And then on Sunday Night Football, we've got two more heavyweights. Spike, it's the Lions and the Texans. I'm really excited for this game.
The Lions, the last few weeks, they've showed that they can do it all. They take out opponents that they know that they're better are by large margins, and they know that they can take care of the good teams, even if it's a slim, close fight. They're able to get out of it, especially with that win against the Packers last week. The Texans, coming off of a loss to my New York Jets, thin at wide receiver, though, and still struggling at the offensive line. I feel like those are two things that the Lions are going to try to exploit throughout this one. Again, getting Zadarius Smith to beast up that defensive line with the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. And it's going to be a real good one, but I believe the Lions are going to take this in more of cakewalk fashion. Definitely not how they did the Titans or the Cowboys, but it's going to be ugly for the Texans, even if Nico Collins is able to play, because these Lions do not give up, and they beat on opponents even when they are up.
Thanks, Spike. That will conclude our NFL segment today. Make sure to stay tuned for our Buffalo Sabres segment coming up next after this.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're just
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
And how's your serve coming along?
Not so good.
I think we should work on it this weekend.
Amy's birthday bash slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. My name's Thomas Bailey. Alongside me, Michelle Morocco, Colin Ritchie, and Alex Miley. As we get set to talk about some Buffalo Sabres hockey, the Sabres, since the last time we spoke, have played three really interesting games. The first of which was an Islanders game that we lost 4-3. A gritty Islanders team comes into Buffalo and shuts us down. Colin, can you tell me more on that game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to lose at home, but you especially don't want to lose at home to the New York Islanders. Dylan Cousins opened the game with a goal on the power play because the Sabres score on the power play now, apparently. So they took an early 1-0 lead, but Bo Horvat answered with the Islanders to tie things up at 1 going into the second period. The Islanders would break the tie with a goal from Maxim Tiskov to take a 2-1 lead. And then in the second half of that second period, Kyle Palmieri would extend the lead for the Islanders off of a beautiful passing sequence with him and his line mates. Going into the third period, you're down 3-1. It's Jason Zucker, who has looked fabulous these last couple of games, tipping a shot from the point from Tage Thompson to break the lead down to 3-2. But the Islanders would answer with J.G. Pageau scoring, extending their lead once again to 2 goals. Owen Power scored a goal in the final few minutes to make it 4-3, but the Sabres were a little too late with their comeback attempt. They fall 4-3 to the Islanders. Zucker and Bo Byram both record 2 points. Devin Levi, 4 goals allowed on 36 shots faced with a .889 save percentage.
Yeah, not the game we wanted to see from Buffalo. Devin Levi just looked hung out to dry for most of this game. The defense couldn't do too much. But we shifted our focus after just 1 day of rest, not even, if you will. We had to travel to Detroit to take on the Red Wings. Michelle, a 2-1 loss to the Red Wings. Can you tell me more on this one?
Yeah, so we started off the game in the first period with Alex Tuck on a breakaway that gave us our 1-0 lead that we kept the entire time. It was really fast paced. It seemed like anyone's game in the first period. The second period, not so much. Our defense was not there. Dylan Larkin did not come to play and scored 2 goals, one of those goals being on the power play. So, yeah, altogether, defense not looking good. Third period also didn't look good for Buffalo. We could not get a play going at all, and that led to our loss, our 2-1 loss against Detroit. But the inconsistency is crazy. We can do great one day, awful the next. I don't know where we're headed. I really need to see a more steady plan in the Sabres play.
Yeah, and
We may have gotten that last night as a Tuesday night win against the Ottawa Senators. Alex, a 5-1 shellacking of the division rival Senators. Great games from Bowen Byram and JJ Peterka. Tell me more about this one. Yeah, yesterday may have been election, but this was the biggest shocker of the night. The Sabres winning a game by 4 goals.
with 2 power play goals.
Yeah, the Sabres score 2 on the power play and score 5 goals and win 5-1. That is the shocker of the night for me, for sure. But all joking aside, Bowen Byram, they finally put him up with Rasmus Dahlin in his first game. He scores 2 goals. I love that pairing. I think Byram bringing the offense helps Dahlin offensively, while Dahlin being still really good defensively helps Byram because he's better. Dahlin is better defensively than Power, so they match each other a little bit better than Power and Byram because they're both offensive-driven guys. So I really like that pairing. And then on the power play, 2 goals. Our offense, our first line cooking once again. Tage with the goal, to Peterka with 2 goals. Jason Zucker once again with points on the power play. I mean, overall, this team really came to play. UPL, 38 out of 39 saves. Great game by him, all around dominating win against an Ottawa team that we're going to be battling with to make the playoffs. So very big win, and it was great to see that. Hopefully we can continue that for the upcoming games the rest of the week.
Yeah, Luke
Had the game of his life, but speaking of those games of the week, we have 3 coming up Thursday night, tomorrow night, we have a date with the New York Rangers on the road before coming back home to take on the Calgary Flames Saturday. And then Monday, we'll take on the Montreal Canadiens, another division rivalry matchup. I just want to get you guys' quick thoughts on each of these matchups individually. Buffalo currently sits at 5-7-1. The Rangers are 8-2-1, 7-5-1 for Calgary. And then for the Montreal Canadiens, they are 4-7-2. Montreal will start Sam Montembeault, Buffalo, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Luukkonen again with Dustin Wolf in the Calgary game, and then Shesterkin and Luukkonen for our most recent game being the Rangers game. Start with you, Alex. What are your thoughts on this one, and who do you have us beating and losing to in the next 3 games?
Yeah, I don't see us really having a chance against the Rangers, even though that would be the most Sabres thing ever with how much we've been struggling to go out and beat a team like the Rangers because we're insanely bipolar. But I'm not predicting that. I think we get destroyed in this game. I'm going to go 4-1. The Rangers have been absolutely cooking. Igor Shesterkin's like probably the best goalie in hockey. It's not a very good duo for the Sabres to go up against. So I don't see this game going really well. But then I think we bounce back against Calgary. They started off hot, but they're one of the worst teams in the league. They're probably going to end up blowing it up. They're at the start of a rebuild. So they're not a very good team. UPL has been looking much better. I understand Dustin Wolf has a lot of potential too, but I think that the Sabres squeak out a 3-2 win in this game. And then I think they keep that momentum against Montreal in a more high-scoring game because Montreal's defense is bad, but they have goal scorers like Cole Caulfield who have been cooking. But overall, I trust the Sabres' goaltending and their defense a little bit more. I'm going to go with the Sabres winning this game 5-3.
All right, and next, you, Michelle.
For the Rangers game, I definitely don't think we're going to be able to get out of the gate with that one. So I think that score is going to be 3-1. Moving on to the Montreal Canadiens game, I think that's the one that we're going to win. So I'm going to give us a 4-2 there. And then I meant the Flames. I meant the Flames, not Canadians. Sorry. And then the Canadiens, I do not think we're going to win against them. I think that's going to be 2-1.
All right. And then lastly, you, Colin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as everyone said, the Rangers are a really good team. You've mentioned Igor Shesterkin. Their special teams, too, are really impressive. The number 1 penalty kill and the number 6 power play in the league right now. I just don't see how the Sabres can overcome that. I'll say a 5-2 loss against the Rangers. For the Flames, Alex, like you mentioned, Dustin Wolf has looked pretty good this year, 4-2, .908 save percentage. Middle of the pack offensively, 18th in goals for. I'll give the Sabres a 3-2-1 in this one. I expect both goalies to make some big saves and the goal scorers for both of these teams to also show up. And then for the Canadiens, Montembeault has not been good this year. 3-5 record, .897 save percentage, 3.37 goals against average. I think the Sabres put quite a few in the back of the net, a 4-1 win over the Canadiens.
Yeah, and that will conclude our Buffalo Sabres segment for this week. We'll talk it once again next week. Caleb Babula coming up next with our first NBA segment of this year.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
And how's your serve coming along?
Not so good.
I think we should work on it this weekend.
Mom, Amy's birthday bash slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
Welcome back to the very first Buffalo Sports Insider NBA segment of the year. My name is Caleb, and I'm joined with my co-hosts Spike, Nate, and Antonio. Today we're just going to go over some of the first points of the NBA season, and we're going to start off with the Cavs and Oklahoma City Thunder being undefeated 8-0 and 7-0 respectively. Antonio, what have you seen so far? What have you liked? And what are you expecting going forward with those two teams?
Yeah, I've liked a lot. With the Thunder going into the season, they made a couple of good pickups. They got Hardenstein.
They picked up Caruso in that trade for Giddey. You already knew they were going to be good, and so far they're doing exactly that. Shea is averaging 25. Is picking up 17 with around 10 rebounds a game. They have great production from everybody, and they're just doing what you expected from them. For the Cavs, they've had good regular seasons in the past, but so far they've been surprising, I would say, to a lot of people. 8-0. Mitchell is doing his thing, of course, but what's really stood out to me is Garland. He's having a pickup season after a disappointing season last year. He's averaging 20. He's almost averaging 7 assists a game. Mobley is taking the next step on offense and defense. They're looking good. So I expect both teams to continue being strong contenders in the regular season. But for the Thunder and the Cavs, they both have to prove that they can get it done in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. And on the flip side, the Milwaukee Bucks and Philadelphia, 1 win each to this point. So, Spike, what are you thinking with them so far? And as well, what do you think about the whole Joel Embiid situation to this point?
The Joel Embiid situation is kind of weird. He just got suspended because of the issue with the reporter. That reporter was completely out of line for the things that he had said about Joel Embiid. But prior to that, Joel Embiid publicly stated that he would not be playing in back-to-backs this season while still missing most of these games. I believe he hasn't played in one yet, and it's not a recipe for success, especially with Paul George not coming in until I think the last showing of theirs, and he did not play well either. Only 15 points, 5 rebounds. He didn't really do anything for them, and he also admitted out loud that he didn't play well. For the Bucks, they aren't playing well either. The only win that the Bucks have is against the 76ers, 124-109 to start off the season, and they try to run it back. They're trying to run it back with Lillard and Giannis one more time, just so they have that team and that duo at a healthy point. But their defense is lackluster. No one else on the team is seeming to perform. The roster that's been behind them and supporting Giannis for the past few years is kind of lacked in talent recently, and they're trying to go off of name value, and it's not working for the Bucks. And with the 76ers, Tyrese Maxey is trying to take on an insane workload, especially with the losses of Hield and Harris. So it's going to be difficult for both of these teams to bounce back with this identity that they have tried to stand with for so long, now being completely flipped and it not working for them on both ends.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want someone to remind me again, who has the Milwaukee Bucks first round pick next year? Does anybody know? Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets do. It's wonderful how everything makes full circle. But speaking of the Nets and a few other teams, what are your biggest surprises to this point? And what's really caught your eye this season so far, Nate?
Man, I've been pleasantly surprised by the Golden State Warriors, man. The addition of Buddy Hield has been a replacement for Klay Thompson. He's coming out. He's averaging 22 a game, shooting 50% from threes first 7 games of the season. And they're 6-1 right now. And he's taking a lot of pressure off of Steph. Steph not even playing 30 minutes right now a game. So it's they got 5 guys averaging double figures. So they've been able to take some stress off of Steph, preserve him, for the long stretch of the season. And I'm pleasantly surprised by the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, without a doubt, they've been one of the best teams in the NBA to this point, and we'll see if they can continue that tonight against the 7-1 Boston Celtics. But that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for all joining, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.